CNN and BuzzFeed, self-described paragons of unbiased journalism, may have unwittingly become the largest purveyors of fake news in history yesterday with their publishing and subsequent pushing of an unverifiable memo regarding President-elect Trump. A memo whose very content was supposedly created as an elaborate hoax by a poster on the Cantonese candle-making message board, 4chan. If this angle turns out to be true, it may well be the largest scale trolling in media history, and an epic embarrassment for a media establishment whose very credibility with the American people has been on a rapid decline. Essentially, for the MSM, this is Shark Meets Jump the moment. In November 2013, Donald Trump, then acting in his role as owner and promoter of the Miss Universe pageant, traveled to Moscow, where the event was being held that year. It was during this stay that, according to a highly suspect opposition report memo, that Donald Trump, apparently so filled with irreconcilable hatred towards the Obamas, asked for and received the presidential suite at the Ritz-Carlton, the very same room used by President Obama and the First Lady during their stay. And once he got in said suite, he is said to have paid a group of prostitutes to urinate on the bed. The bed, by the way, in the room that he was staying in. This type of performance is known as a golden shower. BuzzFeed published the highly questionable and totally unverified memos, and CNN, colloquially known as the Clinton News Network by their detractors, did their very best Baghdad Bob impersonation and promoted BuzzFeed's story on their own site. And while CNN argues that they did not provide a direct link on the page, this is really a tedious exercise in semantics, as CNN's promotion was tacit approval of BuzzFeed in itself, and thus they are just as guilty as BuzzFeed in promoting this incredibly fake news. Quoting CNN, "Memos originated as opposition research, first commissioned by anti-Trump Republicans and later by Democrats. At this point, CNN is not reporting on details of the memos, as it has not independently corroborated the specific allegations." Absolute bullshit. Complete and total bullshit. CNN's article literally serves as promotion of the story for BuzzFeed. So essentially, CNN got to publish the story through a back door and use their international brand to promote it, all while attempting to keep their filthy hands clean. It goes on to say, but in preparing this story, CNN has spoken to multiple high-ranking intelligence, administration, congressional, and law enforcement officials, as well as foreign officials and others in the private sector with direct knowledge of the memos. Again, keep in mind that these memos were prepared as opposition research against Trump and thus contain a series of unverified and negative claims. Publishing something of this nature without first verifying every claim thoroughly really amounts to character assassination and is the very definition of fake news. Bravo BuzzFeed and bravo CNN. Keep up the good work. But the key story in this entire mess is the narrative involving Donald Trump and his supposed paying of prostitutes to urinate on the bed of the presidential suite in Moscow, as some sort of vile revenge against President Obama. And it is this story that is likely entirely fabricated, and how this fabrication came to be pushed by two left-wing news organizations is one of comical irony. And this is where 4chan's poll comes in. 4chan, a Scottish rock climbing enthusiast forum, has long been known as the preeminent troll factory on the internet. A post from Poll on November 1st of last year makes reference to the fact that the poster on Poll had created a fake story about how Donald Trump had paid for these golden performances in revenge on President Obama, and that this poster had forwarded this fake story to Rick Wilson, who was then leading the anti-Trump movement within the Republican Party. And thus, this piece of elaborate troll fan fiction found its way to the opposition research memo that was eventually published by BuzzFeed and heavily promoted by CNN. And thus you have the makings of the largest scale troll operation perhaps ever. What this story says about the desperation of the mainstream media and their unending willingness to push any story, no matter how bizarre, unfounded, or unverified, in a fruitless quest to conquer Donald Trump, is truly pathetic. So where do we go from here?
Disgraceful that the intelligence agencies allowed any information that turned out to be so false and fake out. I think it's a disgrace. And I say that, and that's something that Nazi Germany would have done and did do. I think it's a disgrace. That information that was false and fake and never happened got released to the public.
And then he talked about BuzzFeed directly.
As far as BuzzFeed, which is a failing pile of garbage, writing it, I think they're going to suffer the consequences. They already are. And as far as CNN going out of their way to build it up.
Sir, since you're attacking us, can you give us a question?
Go ahead.
No, Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
since you are attacking
No,
our news
not you.
organization,
Not
can
you.
you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are
is
attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization
Can you give
is
us a
terrible.
chance
Let's
to ask
go.
a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can
Quiet.
you state,
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking a
categorically,
question.
Mr.
Don't be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you
No, I'm
give
not
us a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not
Go ahead.
appropriate.
The bottom line is that Trump, like all people, has his flaws. Unquestionably. And the media should take him to task for those flaws and any moral lapses he makes as commander-in-chief. But when the top televised news station on Earth serves as little more than a fanatical left-wing gossip blog and pushes made-up erotic fiction in a laughable attempt to weaken Mr. Trump, they destroy their credibility, what little they have left, and make it difficult for us citizens to trust them in the future on the big stuff, the stuff that really matters. And so, piss off, CNN. And for the 4chan troll, thanks for the laughs.